Hey everyone, welcome to Kicking with Kipes. I'm Kipes and today is January the 2nd, 2025. We've got a lot of games on the schedule tonight, so let's waste zero time and let's get right into it. So before we get into today's video, I'm just going to go on a little bit of a rant about the World Juniors. I recommend that you go watch on the fly on YouTube. I'll try to tag them. I have never tagged somebody in the comments below, but I strongly encourage you to go watch his video as he does amazing content on World Juniors. But I'm going to do my own little rant quickly. Team Canada, they lose in the World Juniors in the quarterfinals against the Czech Republic. They lose. I'm going to be looking at my phone a little bit just so I don't get things mixed up. Team Canada, they lose 4-3 against Czechia. The Czech Republic at home ice for the second straight year, they lose in the quarters to the Czech Republic. Usually I don't get too upset about a loss like this in the quarterfinals if you get outplayed one time here and there, but this team has been under the microscope for so long, ever since selection camp, because of how many omissions they made to this team. I'm just going to read off a couple omissions that this team made and could have desperately used on the power play and whatnot for Team Canada in this tournament. Misa, he has 62 points in 32 games. Cristal, he has 56 points in 25 games. Parek, Calgary Flames draft pick, he has 40 points in 30 games. Seneca, Oshawa Generals, he has 50 points in 29 games. Carter Yakimchuk of the Calgary Hitmen, Ottawa Senators draft pick, he has 33 points in 29 games. Make this make sense. Why do those defensemen on the list that I just made, why aren't they on this team running the power play? Parek, he was in the OHL All-Star game or whatever it was tonight. He scores. Why weren't these players added to the team? They would have been massive assets to this team, and I just don't get it. Please make it make sense. And to add insult to injury, after the game tonight, Dave Cameron, head coach of Team Canada in this tournament, he says the team was exhausted to have a practice this morning. They canceled a practice after each big loss. They lost to Latvia and they lost to the States, and they canceled practices the next day after each of these big losses. What the heck is going on with that? If I was head coach, I would be bag skating these guys for losing to the States in the manner that they did, for losing to Latvia in the manner that they did. It is completely unacceptable, especially when you are on home ice. You were a favorite to win gold on home ice this year, and you crash out of this tournament in the quarterfinals against Czechia. No offense to Czechia whatsoever. They played great tonight, but this is unacceptable on home ice, and I understand all the backlash that this team is getting. Yes, these guys are teenagers and they share a lot of the responsibility for this horrible performance in this tournament, but it cannot go unnoticed that the brass at Hockey Canada picked this team, put them on the ice, and obviously underperformed. Obviously, all these reports coming out are on fresh hearts, fresh disappointed hearts of the Canadian fans. So obviously there's a lot of things that will be said that wouldn't be said after a lot of time thinking about it, but at the same time, extremely disappointing from this Team Canada. So that's my little rant. I encourage you, like I said at the beginning and the top of this segment, please go check out On the Fly on YouTube. They have very good coverage of this tournament. I think he's been to every one of the games so far. So go check him out. He's an exceptional YouTuber as well. Our first game of the evening is Carolina taking on the Florida Panthers in Florida, where the Hurricanes, they win 3-1. The Carolina Hurricanes, they waited late to get the win in this one after Jacob Slavin, he broke the tie with about 7.5 minutes left in the third period. It was a pretty ugly goal. There was a huge pileup in front of the Florida Panthers net, and then Slavin, he just tucked it in. They had to go and review the goal, but they determined that there was no goaltender interference. Good goal. The Hurricanes, they got up 2-1 at that point and then added the empty netter later on. Jacob Slavin, he also got an assist in this game on top of that go-ahead goal. Brent Burns and Marty Necas, they both got a goal in this game as well. The Carolina Hurricanes, they improved to 23-13-2. They had lost 8 of 9 on the road. I mentioned this a couple of videos ago. As I said, they need to get this away voodoo stuff away from them, because in the playoffs you desperately need to score more goals on the road, because that momentum in the playoffs is just everything. That just means so much more getting this win on the road in Florida, where the Florida Panthers, they are struggling a little bit right now, but it is still a very hard arena to go into and get 2 points out of. Pyotr Kochetkov, he made 26 saves in the winning effort tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky, goalie for the Florida Panthers, he was extremely busy tonight. He made 37 saves and let 3 goals in, so that means he had 40 shots on net. The Carolina Hurricanes, who are usually not a team that racks up the shots, they got a ton of shots on Bobrovsky and made his night extremely hard. So him only letting 3 goals should be somewhat commended. The Panthers, they dropped to 23-14-2. They've lost 3 of 4 games, including that embarrassing loss to Montreal on Saturday. And as I just mentioned just before this, the Carolina Hurricanes, they had a ton of shots in this game. They outshot the Florida Panthers 16-6 in the first period, which is just a horrible way to start at home for the Florida Panthers and an amazing way to start for the Carolina Hurricanes on the road. So the Carolina Hurricanes, they win 3-1 in Florida against the Panthers today. We go to Madison Square Garden, where the New York Rangers are hosting the Boston Bruins, and I don't say this very often lately, the New York Rangers, they beat the Boston Bruins 2-1, ending a 4-game losing streak. Jonathan Quick, he was in net for the New York Rangers today because Igor Shesterkin had to end up on the IR with a injury. So he came in and made 32 saves in this effort tonight. For Jonathan Quick, this was his 399th career win and his first win since November 30th. That's just not very good at all. Jonathan Quick's next win, no matter what it happens, will be his 400th career win, which will make him the all-time leading win holder for American-born goalies to win 400 games. I'm excited to see that. It's going to be an extremely amazing accomplishment. Only American to do it ever. That is something you'll be able to hold on to until the next guy does it, if it ever happens. Jonathan Quick, he was extremely busy in the third period as he had to make 12 saves. Mika Zibanejad of the New York Rangers, he has had a very slow and very disappointing season up to this point. He gets a goal, his first goal in 9 games. This is a player that the Rangers desperately need to find his season and get back on track, because this is a player that they pay good money to and desperately need to have some sort of offensive output. Brett Berard of the New York Rangers, he got the goal to get the win for the New York Rangers today. The Rangers, they improve, and I say that with quotes, 17-19-1. This is only their second win in 9 games since December 14th, the middle of December. They've only won 2 games. This is absolutely atrocious behavior from the New York Rangers. As negative as I am about the New York Rangers, it makes me extremely happy that they finally win, especially since it's against the Boston Bruins. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they won, but we will talk about that in a little bit. That makes it extremely important that the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers both lost. That gives a little slim cushion for the Maple Leafs in the standings. Elias Lindholm, former Calgary Flame, he scores tonight. Jeremy Swayman, he made 25 saves for the Bees. The Bruins, they dropped to 20-16-4, and they have lost 2 in a row and 3 of 4. So they're struggling a little bit. They have been good under the new coach, Sacco. So maybe this is just a little blip. I hope it's a bigger blip than a smaller blip, but at the same time, I have full faith that the Bruins can come back and turn this right around. So, low scoring game in this one. The New York Rangers, they finally win, winning 2-1 against the Boston Bruins at home tonight. We head over to Washington, where the Capitals, they end up losing 4-3 in a shootout to the Minnesota Wild. Alexander Ovechkin, he is absolutely red hot since his return from injury. He scores another goal tonight, his 871st goal of his career, moving to 24 away from Wayne Gretzky's record. This is exactly the start he needed after this injury, and he's doing exactly that, literally goal bound for this record to get it done this season, and I am starting to believe that he will do it. Ovechkin's goal did make it 2-2 in this game, about 5 minutes left of the second period, but it just wasn't good enough for the Capitals to get the victory tonight. Since missing 16 games due to a broken fibula, Ovechkin has scored 3 goals in his 4 games since returning, and he has 18 goals in 22 games this season. Absolutely outstanding job from Ovechkin in his latter years of his career, just still drinking from the fountain of youth, I should say, like Crosby, like Tavares, but Tavares shouldn't even be in this conversation right now. We are talking about Ovechkin, the future holder of an NHL record for most goals ever. Standout player for the Minnesota Wild was Ryan Hartman. He had a goal and an assist in this game. Matt Boldy scored the only goal in the shootout for the Wild, giving them the victory. The Wild, they get back on track. They are now 24-11-4. They have now won 4 of 5 after a little bit of a slip since Kaprizov's injury. I still think he's out. Other goal scorers for the Minnesota Wild was Marco Rossi and Yakov Trenin. Marc-Andre Fleury, the Flower, he started the game for the Minnesota Wild. He made 28 saves and then ended up stopping Ovechkin in the shootout to secure the victory. The Washington Capitals, they dropped to 25-10-3, still having an outrageously good season. I'm still extremely impressed with what Carberry is doing behind the bench for the Washington Capitals. Tom Wilson and Martin Feravari, they both scored for the Washington Capitals in the losing effort. Charlie Lindgren between the pipes, he made 30 saves. So Alex Ovechkin creeps a little bit closer to that record, but it wasn't good enough for the Washington Capitals tonight as they lose 4-3 against the Minnesota Wild in a shootout. We go to Columbus where the Detroit Red Wings are in town. They leave it extremely late and end up winning 5-4 against the Blue Jackets. Jonathan Berggren, he leaves it extremely late, 36 seconds left in the game to score that game-winning goal. Berggren's go-ahead game-winning goal, it was an extremely good effort from all three players involved in the play that led up to the goal. It came right after James Van Riemsdyk scored the tying goal at 17-19 of the third period. Ben Sherratt, former Montreal Canadian, he made a really good block. It bounced out close to the blue line of the Columbus Blue Jackets offensive zone. Tyler Mott did a Superman kind of diving poke check. It squeaked out to Berggren, who went out on the breakaway. Top cheese over top of Merzlikins' shoulder. Absolutely outstanding effort from all three of those guys. Great job for the Red Wings to just grind out this victory. A couple extremely good performances from Detroit Red Wings players. Alex DeBrincat, he had a goal and 2 assists, 3 points on the night. Very good job from him. Patrick Kane and captain Dylan Larkin each had a goal and an assist. Dylan Larkin causing some mayhem in front of the net, causing a big kerfuffle. Eric Gustafsson, former Toronto Maple Leaf, he also scored in this game for the Red Wings. They improve and kind of improve, I guess. They are 16-18-4, still a very disappointing season for the Detroit Red Wings. They have now won 3 straight after being on a 4-game losing streak, which got their coach fired, but ever since losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs and getting their butts handed to them in practice, they have won 3 games and shown their new coach, Todd McLellan, that maybe they are starting to pay attention and willing to try to improve their season. Cam Talbot was in net for the Detroit Red Wings. He made 21 saves in the winning effort. Like I just mentioned, James Van Riemsdyk, another former Maple Leaf playing in this game, he had 2 goals and an assist in this game. Zach Werenski also scored, just having an outrageously good season. Just so good on the blue line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He had a goal and 2 assists in this game, and he extends his home point streak to 14 games. That spot on the American roster for the Four Nations faceoff is looking so good for the Americans, and I am deathly terrified of that American team in that tournament. Sean Monahan, former Calgary Flame, he also scored for the Blue Jackets today. They had won 3 of 4 before this and just slipped up late. They left it really late to screw this game over, and yeah, they just could not recover with 36 seconds left in the game. Merzlikins was in net, like I mentioned. He made 22 saves in this game, and the Blue Jackets, they dropped to 16-17-6. They're kind of on that borderline of extremely meh, but I am not putting anything against this team right now. They are looking better than I ever thought they would have this season after the loss of Johnny Gaudreau. On that note, we will move on. The Detroit Red Wings win 5-4 and leave it extremely late to get the victory against the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus tonight. Moving on, we go to Long Island where the Maple Leafs are in town to face off against the Petty Islanders. The Leafs, they win 2-1 at UBS Arena. The New York Islanders, they are still booing John Tavares 7 years later after he leaves them to sign a big contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't understand why they are so petty. Players sign in different places. I guess that's just the New York mentality. But come on, the contract that he signed to come to the Maple Leafs is expiring at the end of this year. It's been that long that the 7-year contract that John Tavares signed is going to be over. Get over yourselves, Islanders fan. He is ours. On that note, we go to Bobby McMann. He scores both goals for the Maple Leafs tonight, having a great game individually. His second goal was the game-winning goal with about 3 or so minutes left in the third period. So the Leafs kind of left it a little late, but they still get the full 2 points. An extra 2 points on top of the Florida Panthers and Boston Bruins, who both lost tonight, like we just talked about. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they improved to 24-13-2. They have now won 3 of their past 4 games, having a nice little run of games. Joseph Woll in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs, having an extremely good game in net. He made 32 saves in the winning effort tonight, and it was early on when you can kind of tell that Woll has that swagger in him, that he's just not going to let many goals in. He was making extremely good save after amazing save, and it was going to be extremely hard to beat Woll tonight, and the Islanders could only do it once. The only player to beat Joseph Woll tonight was Scott Mayfield for the Islanders, and they continue to be crap. They are 14-18-7. New York team's extremely bad this year. They have now lost 3 straight. Ilya Sorokin's supposed to be this really good goalie. He's having a tough year so far. He made 29 saves in the losing effort. Isaiah George, we talked about him on Saturday as he scored his first career goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto, but he got hit by Domi. He crashed into the boards and had to kind of limp off the ice, and then he did not return for the Islanders all game long. And hopefully this rookie can return, as he's been pretty good for the Islanders on the blue line. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, they win 2-1 against the petty New York Islanders. Moving on to Texas, where we got the Ottawa Senators facing off against the Dallas Stars, where the Stars, they win 4-2 at home. Rupe Hintz, he got 2 goals in this game. Matt Duchene, he also had a goal and an assist. Wyatt Johnson and Jason Robertson, they had 2 assists for Dallas, who improve to 23-13-1. They've won 4 of their past 5 games, having a very nice little run of games. Jake Ottinger was not busy whatsoever in this game. The Ottawa Senators made his night very easy. Even though they did score 2 goals, he only made 11 saves, which means they only had 13 shots on net, which is pathetic if you ever want to win a hockey game. Getting 13 shots, you are not going to do it. Brady Tkachuk, he had a goal and an assist in this game. Levi Marilyn, he made 21 saves in the losing effort. Ottawa, they dropped to 19-16-2, still having a pretty good season in comparison to what a lot of people thought. They are 7-3-0 in their past 10 games. They've got to keep going, though, if they ever want to get that second wildcard spot. Jamie Benn, his goal did tie it at 2-2 halfway through the second period, and ever since that point, Ottawa could not string any momentum together as Hintz and Duchene added on to the tally and put the game out of reach for the Senators completely. Nothing too crazy happened in this game, so we will wrap it up there. The Senators, they lose 4-2 to the Dallas Stars, who were at home tonight. We head on over to Winnipeg, where the Jets are playing the Anaheim Ducks, and the league-leading Winnipeg Jets lose to the Anaheim Ducks in overtime, 4-3. Even though Mark Scheifele of the Winnipeg Jets, he scored only 33 seconds into this game, that momentum did not carry throughout the game, as it was pretty back and forth the entire time. They just couldn't keep that momentum, even on home ice. That home ice just couldn't do it for the Winnipeg Jets. That's unfortunate. Too bad. So sad. Even Alex Iafallo of the Winnipeg Jets, he scored very late in the third period. So they scored very early and very late in this game, and they still couldn't hold on to the lead against a very mediocre Anaheim Ducks. Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks, he scored his first of the evening less than a minute after Iafallo scored, tying the game up and sending it into overtime, where Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks finished the job himself, scoring at 3.5 minutes into overtime. On top of his 2 goals, Troy Terry, he also added an assist. Radko Gudas, the tough guy on the blue line and captain of the Anaheim Ducks, he also added an assist. Leo Carlson, the second-year sophomore for the Anaheim Ducks, he also scored. The Ducks, they somewhat improved to 16-17-4, but they have won 3 in a row, which is extremely good for the Anaheim Ducks, and 4 of 6. So they are stringing a couple wins together here and kind of screwing their chances of getting a lottery pick. So I don't know, as a team like the Ducks, wouldn't you want to go and get another lottery pick or a very high draft pick in this upcoming draft? I don't know. I think I would if I were the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson, goalie for the Anaheim Ducks. He had a very good game, making 27 saves, kind of keeping his name in the mix as a trade target for people who need goalies in this upcoming trade deadline. Cough, cough, Rangers in case Shesterkin gets hurt. Josh Morrissey, defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. He had 2 assists in this game. Connor Hellebuck between the pipes made 20 saves in the losing effort. So the Jets, they couldn't keep the momentum of scoring extremely early, and they still couldn't keep the momentum going after scoring extremely late. And they lose 4-3 in overtime. We move to Calgary, my hometown team, the Calgary Flames. They end up losing 5-3 against the Utah Hockey Club at home at the Saddle Dome. For the Utah Hockey Club, the Utahns, Lawson Krause, he scored twice to get the Utah Hockey Club that victory. He had a very good game. I noticed him all over the ice while watching this one. Captain Clayton Keller for the Utah Hockey Club, he got a goal and an assist in this game. Logan Cooley also scored to add on to that victory tally for the Utahns. Utah, they improved to 17, 15, and 6, starting to creep into wild card talks, but in the long run, I would be surprised if they made it, kind of like the Flames. I would be surprised if the Flames or Utah, maybe it'll come down to these two teams, and the Flames will be kicking themselves if Utah squeaks in ahead of them because of this game. To add insult to injury for Calgary, the Utah Hockey Club had lost 5 straight 0-4-1 before coming into the Dome tonight and laying a kind of beat down on the Flames. Karel Vejmelka, he made 23 saves in the winning effort. Calgary didn't look too bad in the first half of this game, but as soon as the third period started, Utah scored twice to jump ahead in this game. And after that, you just could tell that Calgary couldn't and probably wouldn't come back in this game. They had the fight, but they weren't really showing it. It was just kind of lackluster in the third period from the Flames. Kevin Stenlund of Utah, he scored into the empty net with exactly 1 minute left in the third period. The 3 goal scorers for the Calgary Flames tonight was Braden Pahal, Connor Zary, and Blake Coleman, the Texas Tiger, he also got an assist in this game, getting 2 points. I was pretty disappointed that Vladar started in this game, especially with how Dustin Wolf played on New Year's Eve against the Canucks and how good of a record Dustin Wolf has at home right now. I think he's 10-1-1 at home with an over 900 save percentage. So it's absolutely bonkers to me that he would not start this game against a hockey team that has been struggling. I don't mind Vladar, but I think he should be the number 1 backup behind Wolf right now. The Flames, they have now lost 2 of 3 games. They dropped to 18, 13, and 7. They're still having a better season than I thought they would, but it was that 5-game win streak to start the season that is keeping them in this race. They better get it together quickly, or else this season's just going to fall apart, and everybody who thought that the Flames would be struggling will be correct. Like I just said, the Flames have lost 2 of 3, but I am glad that the wife and I got to see that 1 win in the past 3 games. So I guess there's a positive in everything. So the Calgary Flames, they lose at home 5-3 against the Utah Hockey Club. We go to Colorado, where the Avalanche, they are playing the horrible Buffalo Sabres, and they end up winning 6-5 in overtime after a horrible collapse from the Buffalo Sabres. The Avalanche, they scored twice in the last 3 minutes of the third period to push the game to overtime. That is inexcusable on behalf of the Buffalo Sabres. Mackenzie Blackwood, goaltender for the Colorado Avalanche, was on the bench to get the Avs the extra skater, and Cale Makar, he was one of the goal scorers to cut the lead to 5-4 at about 18 or so minutes of the third period. Jonathan Drouin, he was the guy that scored the game-tying goal at 5-5 late in the third period, pushing it to overtime. Drouin's goal to tie it at 5-5 was with 8 seconds left on the clock, and Blackwood was on the bench again for the extra skater, and just this extra skater, it doesn't always work. Most of the time it bites you in the butt and the other team scores on the empty net, but you are pretty safe when the Buffalo Sabres are on the other side of the ice. They had no chance of getting it to the net, and Colorado just took full advantage of their crappy season. Then we got into overtime. 48 seconds was all it took. That momentum carrying over from the third period. Devon Taves, he scored on the breakaway for the Colorado Avalanche. That arena went ballistic. I had it on the side as I was recording the earlier games, and that place was bouncing. And the funniest thing was when I looked and they were panning the crowd, and I saw a Buffalo Sabres fan, and he literally was just like, well, there's another one. It was just the funniest and most realistic fan reaction I've seen in a long time, and it was absolutely hilarious. Cale Makar, Calgary, Alberta native, he got 2 goals. Devon Taves, he had 2 assists on top of his overtime winning goal. The Avalanche, they improved to 24-15-0. They're having an outstanding season. They have now won 6 straight and 10 of their past 12 games. What a great run that this team is on. Nathan MacKinnon, he is doing so good for my fantasy team since I acquired him. Thank you, Alyssa. He had 3 assists in this game. Mikko Rantanen and Jonathan Drouin. As I mentioned before, Drouin got a goal, but Rantanen and Drouin, they each had a goal and an assist in this game, having a great game themselves. Scott Wedgwood started the game for the Colorado Avalanche. This goalie tandem for the Avalanche is extremely confusing. I always have to double and triple check who I'm talking about because their 2 goalies are Wedgwood and Blackwood. It's a horrible situation for people who are trying to report on these games. Wedgwood, he was the one that started in this game. He let 4 goals in on 18 shots before he had to leave the game due to an injury. He got run over by a Buffalo Sabres player, and then he was in his own net in pain, and the ref didn't blow the whistle. I don't know too much of the backstory of why they didn't blow the whistle. Maybe it was because Colorado couldn't get control of the puck after he was down, which is, I think it's a rule actually. But Buffalo took the puck behind the net of the Avalanche, and I think it was Benson. He did a wraparound and scored on the kind of empty net because there was no chance Wedgwood was even looking at the puck. He looked like he was in a ton of pain. That caused a huge kerfuffle. A lot of Avalanche players were trying to go after Benson for putting a shot on net on an injured goalie. This game got really rough for 2 teams that shouldn't have much back hatred against each other. This game was a really tough and rough game for both sides. So after Wedgwood got hurt, Blackwood came into the game, and he only had to make 2 saves in relief. So it was kind of a turning point in this game as well. The Avalanche, they made his night really easy, coming in cold in relief. He almost had to play the entire third period and then only 40-something seconds in overtime, but that's a long time to only make 2 saves in the game. It's hard to come into a game like this because you're on the bench, not mentally checked in. You would think as you're getting into the third period, you're pretty safe that you're not going to be playing. So you have to hop into a highly contested, highly aggressive game, and you're only making 2 saves. So it's hard to even get that mentality to focus on this game. It would almost be easier to get a lot of shots so you can zone in and focus on the game. I guess we have to cover who did what for the Buffalo Sabres, and it was Jason Zucker. He had a phenomenal game for the Buffalo Sabres. That was the only bright spot for the Sabres. He had 3 goals and an assist for 4 points on the night. Great job by him. Tage Thompson, he also had a very good game for the Sabres. He had 3 assists. But the Sabres, they dropped to a pathetic 14-20-5. They have now lost 2 straight after winning 3 in a row, and that was right after losing 13 or 14 in a row. So it's just bad news all around for the Buffalo Sabres. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, he made 23 saves in the losing effort. So crazy game in Colorado. We had fights, we had goals, we had overtime, we had a huge blown lead by the Sabres, and at the end of the day, it was the Colorado Avalanche winning at home 6-5 in overtime against the Buffalo Sabres. We go to Vegas, where the Golden Knights are facing the Philadelphia Flyers at home, where they win 5-2 over the Flyers. Captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone, he had a good game tonight, having a goal and an assist in the winning effort. Jack Eichel and Noah Hanifin, former Calgary Flame, they each had 2 assists on the night. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they are so good right now. It's crazy how good this team is right now. They are 26-9-3. They have won 7 of their past 8 games. It is crazy that they still have not reached that double-digit loss number yet. Ilya Samsonov, he got a shutout the other night, and he made 23 saves in the winning effort between the pipes for the Golden Knights today. The Philadelphia Flyers had the lead in this game. Tyson Forrester, he scored 21 seconds into this game, and the Flyers, they just couldn't keep that momentum going for the rest of the game. It's extremely hard when you score that early to keep the momentum going for the next 59 and a half minutes of the game, but you should be able to kind of base your whole game off that original goal. After that very early goal for the Philadelphia Flyers, the Vegas Golden Knights, they scored 4 consecutive goals to take the 4-1 lead, with goals from Mark Stone, Nick Hague, Dorofeyev, and Alexander Holtz. Konechny did score to cut the lead in half to 4-2, but it was too little too late as Pearson scored into the empty net with about 30 seconds to go to put that nail in the coffin for the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers, they dropped to 17, 18, and 4. They have alternated wins and losses over the past 6 games, with a win here, a loss, win, loss, win, loss. So it's just very inconsistent from the Philadelphia Flyers right now. They need to get their act together. Alexei Kolosov, he was in net for the Philadelphia Flyers. He made 22 saves in the losing effort. The Vegas Golden Knights, they win 5-2 over the Philadelphia Flyers at home. We head to the West Coast in Seattle, where the Vancouver Canucks are visiting, and they win 4-3 in a shootout against the Seattle Kraken. The Seattle Kraken, they come back late again in another game. They have a very bad track record of being behind in games and having to force themselves to come back. Vince Dunn, he was the one that tied it at 3-3 with just under a minute, 53 seconds to be exact, left in the game. It was a very nice wrist shot though, just past the glove of Kevin Lankinen, the goalie for the Vancouver Canucks. Thatcher Demko did start the night for the Vancouver Canucks, but he had to leave the game about 8 minutes into the second period. And as I was just recording this, I saw a note come up on my phone. Elliot Freeman just said that it is back spasms for Thatcher Demko, which is horrible news for Vancouver Canucks. Hopefully it's just something that can get fixed quick, but I think it was back problems with what's his name, Demko, in the summer that kept him out at the beginning of the season. So I really hope, for the sake of Vancouver Canucks fans, that it's nothing crazier than just a little blip. The Vancouver Canucks, they had lost 2 in a row coming into this game. They improved with this win to 18, 11, and 8. The Kraken, they had won their past 2 games before this loss. They dropped to 17, 20, and 2. They're having a pretty disappointing season. Matty Beniers, he scores for the 3rd straight game. He's starting to heat up. Philip Grubauer was in net for the Seattle Kraken today. He made 19 saves in the losing effort. Saison, Garland, and Myers all scored for the Canucks as well. In the shootout, JT Miller was the only shootout goal, getting the game-winning goal. The Canucks, they go to Seattle and win 4-3 in a shootout over the Kraken. Our last game of the evening is the Tampa Bay Lightning against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose, where the San Jose Sharks win 2-1 against Tampa Bay. What a great night to be a Leafs fan, as 4 divisional rivals, the Sens, the Bruins, the Lightning, and the Panthers, all lose while the Maple Leafs win. That is absolutely massive for the Leafs in the standings. I guess the Sabres are in the Atlantic Division too. I just remembered that too. And of course the Sabres lost, but that is 5 divisional rivals that lost tonight. We're not here to talk about the Leafs right now, as unfortunate as that is. We are here to talk about the San Jose Sharks beating the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was Tyler Toffoli and Mario Ferraro, say that quickly, and Yaroslav Askarov, say that quickly as well. He made 24 saves for the Sharks. They improve, but it's a measly improvement. They are 12, 23, and 6. They are 0-7-1 in their past 8 games, which is not good. So they desperately needed this win just for a morale boost. Marc-Edouard Vlasic, I completely forgot about this guy, and it's because he hasn't been playing, so it was kind of obvious that I haven't heard of him for a long time. He missed the first 40 games of the season due to a shoulder injury and had a very good first game back. He had an assist and was a +1. There's not much stock to plus minuses anymore, but in your first game back, I'll give it to you. He had an assist and was +1 in just under 12 minutes of ice time in his season debut. Welcome back, a veteran of this game. For the Lightning, the only goal scorer of the game was Anthony Cirelli. The Lightning, they drop to 20, 13, and 2. They have now lost 2 straight. Andrei Vasilevsky was in net and got the loss, making 23 saves along the way. The Lightning, they did lose a very key part to their team. Captain Victor Hedman, he got a puck to the ear. That does not sound pleasant at all, and did not return to the game. So hopefully he's okay. I hope for divisional rivalry he's not okay, but as a human being, I have to say I hope he's doing okay. That must hurt like crazy. So 3 goals in this game. The San Jose Sharks, they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning at home 2-1. All right, that is it for this video. That was quite a bit of games to cover tonight. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for kicking it with me, Kipes. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow as we cover all the games on the schedule as well. Hope to see you then. Have a great evening.